What if what you fear the most in women is actually inside you? Welcome to my channel. Men have always been afraid of something in women, something that seems to be powerful enough to change them, to move them, to destabilize them, something that can shake the foundations of their ego so much that they fear it, reject it, and sometimes even become obsessed with it. But what exactly is this? What is it about women that brings out these extreme reactions in men? According to Carl Jung's analytical psychology, there's an archetype in the collective unconscious that embodies this feminine power, the dark feminine archetype. This archetype, also known as the shadow, is believed to represent the hidden aspects of ourselves that we reject and repress, particularly the feminine in men and the masculine in women. This is the first part of our journey today. We will explore the darkness of the feminine archetype, the projection of the animus in men. According to Jungian psychology, men are born with an inner feminine, the anima, which represents emotional depth, intuition, and the unconscious. But here's the kicker. This inner feminine isn't some airy fairy spirit. She is wild, untamed, and instinctual. Think of her like a force of nature, something like a hurricane or a raging fire. Untamed. And when men fear the feminine in women, they are really afraid of this inner storm within themselves. It all boils down to one thing: vulnerability. When the inner feminine is ignored or suppressed, she grows in power and eventually overwhelms the rational mind, causing chaos and turmoil in a man's life. Jung believed that the most terrifying aspect of this inner feminine is not her wildness, but her connection to the unconscious. Through dreams, visions, and hunches, the anima tries to guide us. But because men repress their emotions, they often misinterpret these messages from their unconscious, leading to even more chaos. Now let's talk about why men fear this emotional depth in the first place. It's all about control. The masculine ego loves to be in control, to plan and strategize and know exactly what's going on. But the inner feminine, she's unpredictable, mysterious, and beyond the reach of logic. She challenges the very core of the masculine ego, and that scares the hell out of men. But here's where things get really interesting. Jung believed that this archetype is an incredibly powerful seductress. She has the ability to captivate and mesmerize those who encounter her. Think of those intense, passionate love stories that seem to come out of nowhere. That's the archetype at work, pulling the strings and creating these magnetic connections. But this archetype is not just a romantic seductress. She's also a destabilizer, a bringer of chaos, who can turn a man's world upside down. Have you ever met a woman who seemed to shake you to your core? Someone who challenged your beliefs, values, and way of life? The archetype can manifest in different ways, sometimes as a femme fatale who uses her feminine wiles to manipulate and control, sometimes as a wild, free-spirited bohemian who challenges societal norms and expectations, and sometimes as a nurturing, wise woman who offers guidance and healing. The dark feminine can also show up in men's lives through fantasy, specifically the fantasy of being dominated and controlled by a woman. Now hold on a second. Don't go judging these fantasies because they're just that, fantasies. Jung believed that these seemingly kinky desires actually point to something deeper, the unconscious wish to experience the feminine principle without actually integrating it into their conscious lives. Let's take dreams, for example. Have you ever had a dream where you were being chased or attacked by a woman? Sounds scary, right? But according to Jung, these kinds of dreams are actually a reflection of the anima trying to communicate with you. She's trying to tell you something important about yourself, but because of your fear of the feminine, you misinterpret her message and wake up feeling confused and anxious. Moving on to visions, which can be equally unsettling. Have you ever had a vision or premonition of something bad happening to you or someone close to you? Again, Jung believed that these are messages from your anima, trying to guide and protect you. But because you fear the feminine, You ignore these messages and end up facing whatever it is that you were warned about anyway. When men fear the feminine, it creates a ripple effect in their relationships, often manifesting as a desire to control their partners. This control often comes in the form of jealousy and possessiveness, a need to isolate their partner from their friends and family, and a refusal to trust them in any situation. These behaviors may seem extreme and even irrational, but they all stem from the same source: fear of vulnerability and the rejection of the inner feminine. And speaking of shadows, this archetype can also manifest in more subtle ways. Some men may develop a mother complex, becoming overly attached to their mothers and seeking their approval in all aspects of their lives. This unhealthy attachment can lead to a codependent relationship where the man relies on his mother for emotional support instead of developing that kind of relationship with his partner. But don't worry, we'll dive deeper into the mother complex in a separate video, so make sure to stay tuned so you don't miss it. Next, let's talk about the power of this archetype. It's so strong that it can influence a man's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, even if he doesn't consciously recognize it. For example, have you ever been drawn to a particular work of art or a piece of music without knowing why? Maybe it evoked a strong emotion in you or made you feel a sense of longing or nostalgia. Jung believed that these kinds of experiences are the result of the archetype's influence on our unconscious minds. This archetype is so ingrained in our collective unconscious that it finds expression in various forms of mythology and folklore. In many cultures, the archetype is represented by powerful goddesses such as Kali, Durga, and Nemesis, who embody the raw, untamed energy of the feminine. These goddesses are often depicted as fierce and even terrifying, which reflects the archetype's intimidating presence. But let's switch gears and talk about the cost of denying the feminine inside. Jung believed that rejecting and suppressing the inner feminine leads to a fragmented psyche. Men who try to deny their feminine side often find themselves unable to connect with their emotions or intuition. They become stuck in their logical, rational minds, which leads to a narrow and limited perspective on life. This denial can also lead to an inability to form deep connections with others, whether romantic, platonic, or familial. Without the guidance of the feminine principle, men risk making decisions that are purely based on ego and ambition, leading to an imbalance in their lives. They may find themselves neglecting their relationships, ignoring their intuition, and ultimately living a life that is unfulfilled and lacking in depth. Now let's talk about how men can confront the animus. Jung believed that facing and integrating the inner feminine is a necessary and inevitable part of the journey towards wholeness. It's like a rite of inner passage that every man must undergo. To begin this process, men need to acknowledge the feminine principle within them and accept its presence in their lives. This can be challenging, especially for those who have been conditioned to believe that emotions and intuition are weaknesses rather than strengths. But by embracing the feminine, men can begin to heal the fragmentation in their psyches and live more balanced, fulfilling lives. Jung's work suggests that the path to wholeness involves a process of alchemistry, transforming lead into gold. In this alchemical process, the shadow, including the rejected feminine aspects, is not eliminated, but integrated into the personality. By recognizing and accepting the feminine principle, men can achieve a state of individuation, becoming complete and whole individuals. So now it's time to hear from you. What do you think about what Jung had to say about the feminine archetype? If you have any personal experiences or insights related to this topic, please share them in the comments below. Also, before you leave, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.